Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim or Sinaya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So, a lot of people have been saying a lot about what has been going on, politics, and all of that. Now, let me get into this. Some people are actually okay. Some people think that they are untouchable, right? When I say untouchable, they feel like some certain things are not going to affect them. Like it can only affect Black people because they have immunity over some certain things or that privilege that they have, that they keep denying and all that. They actually know that they have that privilege, but they keep lying. So it's amazing how even a disabled person will still come out to tell you that, that Black people right now are out there talking so like not so nice things about Trump and all that, forgetting that they already told you that there is no place for disabled people. Like they made it clear that you have no place, and you can also, as a disabled person, you can actually go and probably on a live self and all that. Still, some people will see all that and still think that the best thing to do is just to support the other opponent, And now I keep saying this, Black women or Black people in general should never sit down and wait for women to dictate whom they will vote for, because I see them coming out to say Black people should vote for this person, Black people should not vote for that. Nobody should listen to all that. Let's get into this.
Trump is a racist. He's a black dog.
I know that a lot of you tagged me in this video thinking I would call this girl out, but I'm gonna call out the people that tagged me in this video instead, okay? Every fucking 4 years, you all get on the internet and somehow remember that disabled people not only vote, but represent 30% of the voting population. And technically it's more than that because only about 20% of people are born with the disabilities. You all don't talk to disabled people and yet somehow shocked that disabled people are in fact people that represent a wide array of biases, political affiliations, what have you. So I'm confused why you're confused. I'm annoyed why you're confused. You see, it reminds me of how many people are tagging me in that quote of Donald Trump telling his nephew that he wishes that some disabled people would just die. And they want me to be like, oh my God, that's such a horrible thing to say. Yeah, of course it's horrible to say, but he'll say it, you'll do it. In fact, the vast majority of disabled voters don't believe politicians give a fuck about disabled people, about the disability community, right? And in fact, a majority of disabled voters believe that politicians should be doing more to protect disability rights. In fact, a survey in 2020 of voting preferences of disabled people, 51% lean towards Trump. Not to mention, do you all hear yourselves when you talk about disabled people? I'm sorry. No, you're not actually talking about disabled people. You're calling anybody who doesn't believe in your political affiliation slow, short bus. The only time you can actually even muster the gall to bring up disabled people in abortion conversations is to say you don't want a disabled child. Republicans and anti-choice conservatives have been recruiting disabled people for years under the assumption that you all hate disabled people. And you do, right? You use disability as an insult any chance you fucking get. And now you're shot? For what? For what? And if I were to tell you that the ability for that woman to change her political beliefs probably relied on her access to paratransit and getting out and seeing and talking to other people, you'd probably ask me what that is. Okay. Before you misrepresent what I just said, I don't agree with her. I don't like Trump. I've always said that. But don't sit here and pretend like this is shocking when you just remember disabled people exist in an election year.
Good morning, TikTok. So listen, I've said this before, but I feel like I need to send out a stronger message. What I'm not going to do is to argue with white women about why it is I do not trust them when it comes to the 2024 election and why I do not feel an allyship, a sisterhood with white women. It's not just this election, and it's not just the last couple of elections where the majority of white women have betrayed black women. But we have a very, very long history of white women doing just exactly that to black women in this country. And I would be a fool at this point to trust white women. And I'm a whole lot of things, but a fool I am not. And so when I say I'm not going to argue with white women and go back and forth with them, if you, as a black woman, if you got the energy to do that, do what you do. I'm not trying to tell you how to use your energy, and you'll not tell me how to use mine. Speaking of black women, I've had to block a couple of black women because I'm also not going to argue with you about not falling in line and letting white women take leadership because they were on a Zoom call and raised a lot of money for Harris. I'm all about them receipts at this point. Either white women are going to save their own lives on November 5th or they're not. Action speaks louder than words. I'm a wait and see kind of person. Since when have we ever, as black women, been able to rely on white women? Again, I can't tell you how to move, but I'm not moving that way. I will not. And obviously, I know it's not all white women. I don't need anybody to tell me that. When I say the majority, that's an insinuation. It implies, rather, I should say, not all. With that being said, let me tell you, in my opinion, what black women need to be worried about and the most concerned with. We need to be the most worried about the fact, what we will do in the event that we lose this election. Like Colorful Story, and I'm going to tag her so that you can go and watch those last couple of videos that she did, where she eloquently explains how the right wants to do away with the Constitution and how black people's rights and women's rights are tied into that Constitution. We need to be, as black women, we need to be the most concerned right now about what we will do, how we will move in our communities if Trump is the president again. Everyone has seen the video where he says we're going to fix it, where you'll never have to vote again. They are talking about a dictatorship here in America. And if that doesn't concern you enough to not be focused on the antics of white women coming in your comments and trying to acting as energy vampires and distracting you and sucking up your energy, we need to be focused on what we will do in our communities if we lose. He said he will indemnify the police. They will have complete immunity, meaning that they can come into our communities and they can unalive anybody they want. How many of you have actually sat down and just really thought about what that would really mean for us? And I'm not saying just listening to TikToks, but really just sat down in a quiet place and meditated on exactly what that would mean for us. Because in indemnifying the police and giving them full immunity, the first thing he's going to do is get rid of those cameras. And if it were not for cameras, we would not have known what happened to Sonia Massey on that day. We wouldn't know the truth about so many black people who have lost their lives. Black people for the longest time in this country have been saying how dangerous and violent the police are when it comes to us. That they brutalize us. And we were called liars for a long time, and they could call us liars because they couldn't see it with their own eyes. And white people who are so dismissive of us, like a lot of liberal whites were, said that we were lying. They said because it wasn't happening to them, that it can't be happening to us. What do you think is going to happen to women's rights? Do you honestly think that they will continue to hire women and black people if they don't have to? They want women at home having babies. They want white men to control everything. Have you actually seriously sat back and thought about what you will do? What will you do if you lose your job as a black person, if you're no longer hired, if your degree is worthless? And not only that, but you won't even have social safety nets to fall back on, because they're going to get rid of all of that too. They're going to go after your social security. They're going to take everything away from us that we possibly can. And the most vulnerable members of our community, our children and our elderly, will suffer the most. We really need to think about how we will move, how we need to mobilize our communities, and how we will move in the event that this man becomes president again. And this is not me speaking it into reality. This is me speaking realistically. And realistically, we need to be planning for worst case scenario right now. Not arguing with white women. Not trying to convince white women to save their very own lives. Have the day you deserve.
So who did lie about Kamala Harris locking up thousands of black men for marijuana offenses while she was the district attorney for San Francisco? Shout out to Gabriel for asking this video, who put me down this rabbit hole. Now, like Gabriel says on his original video, you can find this data on the San Francisco DA's website. It's publicly available. You can look at it right now. But for simplicity's sake, I decided to do a little more digging in terms of fact-checking from other resources. But a quick summary of what Gabriel said in his video was that Kamala Harris, as district attorney, oversaw over 1,900 convictions related to marijuana charges. And of those 1,900 convictions, only 45 of those individuals were actually sent to prison. And we do not have any statistics or data to say how many of those individuals were black men, but we can presume that probably the majority of those people were black men, given that that's how marijuana and drug charges work in this country. But 45 is a far cry from thousands. But to help out Gabriel and all the people who are still wondering where this started from, I got the answer for you. In 2019, after Kamala Harris started to publicly play with the idea of running for president, a newspaper by the name of the Mercury News released a misleading news article about Kamala Harris and her conviction. The article is behind a paywall, but here is the screenshot of the article I captured just for proof. And here's the actual link. As is the fate of all salacious headlines, it found its way to Facebook, where the boomers got a hold of it and spread it around, instead of saying convictions, as arrests. And here's a screenshot of the post itself. You can find this information here at this website. This has also been confirmed by numerous other news outlets. Again, you can see here, only 45 people went to state prison, started by the Mercury News. And look, here, even from Reuters. Imprisoned 2,000 black people while California Attorney General. There is no evidence that happened. And again, this was confirmed to have started from Mercury News. And listen, I'm ACAB all day long. My cousin is a cop, and I even told my parents that I'm never going to talk to him again while he's a cop, because all cops are bastards. And I don't know where this meme of Kamala Harris being a cop started from, because she was never a police officer. The only form of law enforcement she's ever been in is as a prosecutor. And I understand most people are going to make the distinction, but there is nuance to be had here. After the salacious and then transformed into false story started to make waves within social media, it made its way into mainstream media thanks to the help of famed turncoat Tulsi Gabbard. Here's a video, and here's her actual quote. She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. And this is where the stories start to get muddled together, because she had over 1,900 convictions while she was the district attorney for San Francisco, but only 45 of those people went to jail. We don't know the distribution or the demographic of those people specifically. And according to statistics from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, around 1,500 people were jailed in the state of California for marijuana offenses while Harris was the Attorney General. But Attorney Generals are not responsible for prosecuting crimes such as marijuana offenses at the state level. Again, many of these stories had to actually publish corrections and retractions of these stories about Kamala Harris locking up thousands of people for marijuana offenses. So yeah, the next time someone brings up that talking point, just remind them that while she was district attorney, when she was actually prosecuting these cases, only 45 people went to jail. I still think that's way too many people to go to jail over marijuana. 1,900 people is still way too many people to be convicted of a marijuana offense in general. And tell them that no, she was not directly responsible for people going to prison while she was the Attorney General either, because that was not her job. And if you look at her track record as an Attorney General and a District Attorney, one of her major goals was to reduce the prison population in California, in San Diego, and also roll back these draconian laws that we have, such as capital punishment, death penalty, and a whole host of other things. Now, there's a lot of things that you can criticize Kamala Harris about, but again, as a person who is in politics, she is not only beholden to the people who elected her, but she is beholden to the system that has been built up that she as one individual cannot change. And if you think someone like Donald Trump is going to be less draconian than Kamala Harris, then let me just remind you that Donald Trump wants to build literal concentration camps to lock up political dissidents, political opponents, and as well as, you know, black and brown people.
So this is all I have from this video. And the truth is that if black people are like, waiting for black women to decide on what to do, probably to do the right thing, I guess we are actually wasting our own time. You all have since, what's his name? Joe Biden said that he was not going to run for the next term and all that. You all already can see what has been going on, how white women are telling us the right person to vote for. And the truth is that like the woman said, they will tell us that we are not experiencing this. Most of them, they don't experience police brutality. And so for that reason, when we talk about police brutality, they write it off, right? They do not experience probably pay disparity, like pay gaps and all that. When we say it is not true. Like nothing was ever said is actually truth, right? Now, right over this, over that, like it's absolutely going to be taken away. But I don't know how they are comfortable doing what they are doing, knowing that it's really going to be a tough time. Or in the end, it's also going to affect us. Or their daughters and all that. But most of them do not care, And this is the struggle that black people are facing. Like I keep saying, we really have to do the right thing. And I understand the fear, of what it's going to happen in the end if this doesn't work out. Trust me, I know it's really going to be a tough time. Very, very tough time, because a lot of rights will be taken away. Some people may be able to do some certain things. Some people may not be able to do some certain things. You all can see what has been happening. Police brutality did not start today. I mean, a lot of people already has been unalive from just like a short period of time. And is this going to stop? It's not going to stop. So what is going to happen if somebody gets into power again and decide that we are not going to punish any cops for doing their duty, because it's like, according to them, it's their duty, right? So what they are doing is right. So this is more like an opportunity to go out there and pew-pew, what the hell is this? Go out and pew-pew, right? So what is going to happen to people that look like me? How are they supposed to cope? What will happen to them? How will they live? Because nobody experienced this brutality more than we experience it. Every other people are better than us. When it comes to police brutality, they get over it, and not even getting over it. Like they can move freely than we do, right? I remember one Asian man coming out to say, why is it that when cops stops black people, that black people do not cooperate and all that? That you should just cooperate, and that is a very sensitive, very sensitive something to say, because most of you do not experience what we experience. Some of us cooperate, not like they absolutely cooperate, and in the end, something still happens. So there is no manual to how something is going to happen or something is not going to happen, especially when you are a black person. I remember the one that broke my heart when there was a day young man. He actually went out. I think he went for a protest on his way going home. So he was stopped by the cops. The man was so scared. Young boy. He was really so scared to death that he was screaming that my mama is waiting for me at home. So you can imagine what that young boy may have experienced that made him scream that my mama is waiting for me at home. That really broke my heart. And thank God for passers-by. Other Black people saw what was going on, and they kept telling the cops, you cannot take this young man away. They kept recording, or not until they let that man go. So what if people did not come out to probably speak for him, take videos and all that? What do you know would have happened? This is more like what happened to Sonia Mercy also would have been swept off under the rug if there was no camera. I don't know if people are getting this. So the earlier, because I see a lot of people, I don't know, like I keep saying, vote whoever you want to vote for, but I am also rooting for Kamala Harris, and I hope it goes well and all that, because I feel like she is. But I am yet to see her campaign manifesto, to know what she got for people that look like me and all that. That will give me the full strength to speak with authority, right? So with everything happening, I think we really need to be very careful, but there is no much careful somebody can be, especially when you are someone that look like me. That is how dangerous it is. Yeah, it's that dangerous, but I really hope that it stops, because there is need for it to stop. We have really been through it all to this very moment. And for all the people also going around saying that Kamala Harris jailed Black men during her tenure as an attorney and all that. Like you heard what the man said, she does not have any right to say who this is the person that is going to jail and all that. So we can also get our facts right and do the right thing. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.